Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So as you can see behind me, we've got more roof sheathing that I want to go over with you. We also got some soffit material that we want to talk about, and if we've got time, we might go ahead and get started on all the electric. My father-in-law has to place the order, but we're gonna go over what we're gonna do, how many outlets and stuff we have to do. It may not be in this video, but stick around, we'll see what we got going on. Right, so for the first thing we got more roof sheathing. Now, the only thing that has me concerned, not really about this or what's already on the house, is just that there is a difference. We finally got our Menards rebates in the mail, and we bought about $2,300 worth of stuff today, and it was free. I think I owed a couple bucks basically. But this stuff being from Menards and the other stuff being from Home Depot, they're both labeled as 5/8 sheathing. The difference is that stuff is like 1/100th of an inch or something thicker than this stuff. But the difference is the stuff that we already have on the garage and the whole front of the house is that stuff is only 4-ply thick, while this stuff over here is actually 5-ply. So while it may be 1/100th of an inch thinner, I'm wondering if it's actually stronger than what we have up on the roof due to the fact that it's 5-ply versus 4. Now, while we were at Menards, I noticed that we're gonna have a little bit of an issue with our soffits. So we wanna go with LP Smart Siding. It's 3/8 of an inch thick. It comes in 16-foot lengths and 24-inch widths. And then they went ahead and cut 1/8-inch wide holes in it, or lines, to allow the air to pass up and through. The reason why 24 inches isn't gonna cut it is because we had our overhangs cut at 24 inches. So coming off of the house over to where the trusses are, where they're flat, where we bolted on that 2x6, that was 24 inches. Now we've put on an 1.5-inch 2x6, so we've just lost an 1.5 inches there, and then whatever fascia material we want to put on top of the fascia board that's up there now. So we need to basically make up almost 2 inches of material. So what we came up with is we went ahead and picked up some LP Smart Siding, basically trim board or fascia board. So the plan is we've got this stuff here that's 5.5 inches wide, that will go up against the 2x6 over there. So this is gonna protect the 2x6 from any gutter splash that would get up under there. Obviously that 2x6 out there isn't treated and it's not gonna be painted. So you've got a painted board here that will go over that and will make it look nice and pretty. This 3.5-inch board though is gonna go and protect underneath of this board here, and then it's gonna come in over that 1.5-inch 2x6, which then gives you a little bit left over that should take up the distance so that we don't have to really cut the soffit, and we can go from the house bolted up to that 2x4 that we're gonna put against the house. That soffit will bolt up into there, it'll come on out, it'll bolt up into the 2x4s that we run out from the house that are in line with the trusses, and it'll bolt up in there, but this will take up basically the gap. So basically we're making just kind of a little L bracket that it'll go up against the 2x6, it'll go up and underneath, and then the soffit will meet it. So when you look up there, yeah, you're gonna see a piece of trim running this way, meeting with the soffit, but that should take up most of the space that we need, and then it should finish it out and make it look nice and pretty. Now, we ordered the soffit because they didn't have it in stock. Obviously 24 inches wide, 16 foot long is not a common size to be keeping in stock. So I don't know when that will be here, But hopefully in this video, along with getting some more roof sheathing on, we'll go ahead and basically at least finish out the garage. We'll get the 2x4s up against the zip R panels. We'll run out all the 2x6s going this way so that they're in line with the trusses and get toe nailed into that 2x6, and then it'll be ready for the soffit. But we can at least go ahead and put these trim boards up, see how they look, see how they finish. Hopefully it looks how I have it, you know, in my head projected. And then, but for right now, we're gonna go ahead and get this house wrap up and get this kind of more weather tight in, because we do have some snow in the forecast for over the next 3 days. I don't know how much is gonna get on video here because it is 15 degrees Fahrenheit or like -10 Celsius. So camera's gonna probably shut off in a minute, but I'll go ahead and at least stick it here in the sun to give it some warmth. And like I said, we'll at least knock the Tyvek out for the house wrap, and then we'll go from there for the rest of the video. So stay tuned. All right, I can't say that will do the trick without some 2x4s kind of in the middle and going this way so it doesn't push so hard over that whole area. But it's better than nothing. If it tears down, like I said, it was $50 to try and just keep some of the snow out of the garage while we're working and stuff. So I'm gonna go to the other side, see if we can knock that out. And then I don't know if I'll be able to do the house or not. 9-foot rolls are kind of hard to work with, especially being out here alone. And to run a sheet all the way across like that window opening right now is gonna be probably impossible. And not to mention that plastic's definitely gonna tear and pull if you try and put it over top of the doorway. Right, I didn't get to Tyvek this side or these windows yet, but I wanted to get up there and show you what the heck I'm talking about in the last 2 videos here. So we drew a chalk line all the way across here, and how I got that line was I took my level and put it up underneath the 2x6 on the front fascia where the gutter is gonna be, and then I went across to the house and then marked the line. I went ahead and put the chalk line up there. Now, so the bottom of the 2x4 that's now connected to the wall is at the same height on the bottom of the 2x6 out here. Then as you can see, we start putting some blocking in, and the only reason for that blocking really is you don't need it structurally. I don't think it says in the book for the trusses that you have to put a 2x going this way so that those overhangs don't dip down, but with those in there, they definitely cannot dip down now. The main reason for those 2x's there is now when we take the LP Smart Siding fascia board here and we put it up, so I can do this without falling. Now when we put the LP Smart Siding up here to cover up all of this, the little piece of trim that I'm gonna now put underneath of here, it's gonna cover up the 2x6 here and come up and meet up here with the LP Smart Siding. So now that's all hidden and you're gonna have a nice little line here. And then you've got 3.5 inches where that's gonna come into there. Well, now you've got a nailing surface right there. Yes, we can go ahead and nail that trim all the way down this 2x6, but because it's 3.5 inches wide and only putting a straight line of nails, I don't want that 3.5 inches to ever dip down. So now every 24 inches, we've got a nailing surface that we can just put a nail there and then put one on this next piece of blocking right here. And now that makes a nice little cover up that we can then put the soffit material up underneath of here, come out to here till it butts up and meets that LP Smart Siding trim, and then you'll just have a little line there where the trim is different from the soffit. Should look okay, but that was my plan here. So everything, all of this wood in this 2x6 will be hidden because obviously it's not treated lumber, and that LP Smart Siding trim is OSB. It's treated, not with treated like green stuff that you would put on like the lumber over here, but it's termite and carpenter ant resistant, it says on the sticker. And then since they bake on that coating, which right now it's just like a ugly brown color, that's obviously not going to be the color of our house, but when they bake this finish on, they do it on every side except the back. So you've got this brown finished coating here on top, and then of course the back side is just regular OSB, so which of course isn't going to be subject to any weather. So It's getting freezing right now. I think the Super Bowl is going to start in a little bit, and Aaron's got dinner going. But that's basically how our soffits are going to go. So all the way across there, we've got some extra reinforcement. We've got some extra nailing surface, and I'm not going to put any up that LP up yet because the roof sheathing I don't think is overhung far enough on the 2x6 that it will incorporate the thickness of that smart siding. And unfortunately, the roof sheathing would stop, and then coming out here, the top of that LP smart siding would then have water getting on it, and water could then get back in between the 2x6 and behind that LP. So I don't want to do that. So the outside fascia will not get put on until the metal roof is actually on, because then the metal roof will overhang far enough that that LP will stick up and underneath of the metal roof as it goes down over. So nothing can get up there and start rotting it from the top down. But we can put on the trim piece and we can put on the soffits when they get here. I don't know when that will be. I just ordered them today. But hang tight. We'll get back at this tomorrow. I think it's going to be a little bit warmer, but we'll try and knock out this side and the back side, and then we should be good to go. And I'll show you what I'm going to do for each end. So stay tuned, and hope you guys, whoever wins the Super Bowl, I hope it's who you guys are rooting for. So let's see if Brady is still the GOAT, or let's see if the Chiefs can do it back to back. I'm not rooting for either one really, but if you guys aren't from America, obviously football is a big thing over here, but we'll see what happens. So take care, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Welcome back for another day. We just got finished up putting in all of the braces underneath, and then I wanted to show what I was doing over here on this side. We went ahead and boxed this out, got a piece of zip, and then we're probably going to go ahead and clean this off because it's a little muddy, but we'll go ahead and get some zip tape that will go over top of here, and then we'll roll over onto the roof. That way, while we're waiting for roofing to come in, obviously, as you can see, we've got a gap here where water is going to want to get in, where the roof sheathing isn't overlapped. So put a little piece of tape over top of here all the way down. Then we'll have to worry about caulking or flashing some sort to get it in here before we start siding. And then also have to figure out some sort of flashing up in here where water can obviously get down in. So it's under roof, so technically not a whole lot's going to get down in there, but we'll probably still go ahead and glob some mastic or something down in there one day to finish that off. So that's what I want to do for the ends, and I'm probably going to do that for the other end also. And I was going back and forth on what type of end I wanted to do over here, since we have a ladder overhang basically. So what I was thinking is, since we've got that 2x4 already sticking out there running long, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and cut that. And the reason why that is because if we continue the ladder or the soffits out here and we go underneath of the ladder overhang, that's the way a lot of people do it. But I like the idea of, if we have siding here and the siding goes up, if we cut that 2x4 off and we put a box in just like we did on the other side, then that zip panel or the siding will be the same here on the wall as it is up there in that corner. So it'll basically just run up and then kick over. If we extend it this way, then the siding it's forced to end here on this wall running up, and then we have to box it out further out here on the ladder and I just don't know. I think it will look better to do it the way that I just explained. So I'm going to cut that 2x4 back, run a 2x4 across that way like that, and then get a piece of zip and box that in and finish that off. Now, one other thing that I'm probably going to end up changing is I got to thinking last night, these 5.5-inch boards are 5/8 inch thick. LP actually makes a 3/8 thin material, and you can get it anywhere from like 3 inches up to like 8 or 9 inches. So I think what I'm going to do is trade those ones out and get the 7-inch. Then I will rip cut that 7-inch down so that I get the appropriate height that I want, and that appropriate height is going to be bolted up against the 2x6 there, getting up and under the sheathing, and hopefully, because it's only 3/8 inch thick, it'll get up and underneath of the sheathing so it won't get weathered out. And then as that comes down, we want that to be the long part. So for example, if this board here is sitting flat like that, we want it to be basically like that. We don't want to go like this, because when water hits that flashing, it's going to come down and hit this trim, and then water's going to want to get into that crack. So that's not the way we want to flash that out. We want to flash it out like this, and if we make it 100% even on the bottom, if water still creeps back, it can kind of find its way on here and maybe get on top of it and rot it out or wick it back up. But if we make it just like 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 lower like that, then as water runs down underneath this 2x or that piece of flashing that we need to buy, when it runs under there, it doesn't have the ability to work its way back up and get to this trim board. So if we take 7 inches, we'll have 5.5 inches for the 2x6. We'll have the thickness of this, and then we'll add like 1/4 of an inch lower so that water 100% drips off. So that 7-inch will work perfect. We'll just have to run it to the table saw and rip cut it all the way down so it's the appropriate length that we need. So we will have to go change out these 3 16-footers and go get the bigger, thinner 16-footers. And I think that'll be a much better look on the front flashing here than what I originally thought.
All right, sorry, didn't get that on camera. That was kind of a pain in the butt. But now, as you can see, we're boxed out. So this wall is the same as the overhang wall. And then when we bring down our soffit material for the ladders right here, that'll all be nice and even. Now, as you can see, I didn't have to add anything in here to nail to. The 2x6 on this side, you can see the nails went through there, and my nailing surface was all the way down through here hitting that 2x6. And then I put nails coming through this way, which you can see here, and now this board is kind of in there like that. You've got nails holding it this way, nails holding it that way. We've got this undercut in here, and now we're ready for the soffits to go all the way across here to finish out over here. We'll probably put a piece of trim or something to hide all this and cover it up. But now we're fully boxed in on this side, fully boxed in on that side, and now we can move to the back of the house and finish that part of the garage. Now, the other thing that I just thought of, it's a good thing that we're doing it this way, is now that we have those 2x4s running this way, we are going to want to put lights under there so it lights up the front of the garage here. So we're going to have to figure out how many lights we want and where they're going to be. Like, do we put a light above each window? Do we put a light like in this space here, not above the window, one in the middle, and then another one splitting the difference between the window and the wall ends over there? Because I really do think it's nice when houses have lighting all the way on the outside so you can illuminate everything, especially when you're walking this way. We're going to have a sidewalk here eventually, so when you come out of the house, you will come down the front porch over there, and then the concrete will either go on this side of the tree or that side of the tree, snake in through here, and then right now you'd be walking on a sidewalk, and then you would get up to the concrete, which will be all of this up here, and then the apron that we already have poured. So all that lighting there will kind of light up your walkway here, so that way you can see at night.
All right, so I just started on the trim and I put that first piece up as we walk on by. Hopefully you guys can see it. But it's that 3.5 piece of 5/8 LP smart siding trim that's now going up there. So now we can bring the soffits coming this way. That'll nail up to the 2x6 against the house, and it'll nail up to the 2x6 that are running perpendicular to the house. We'll just have to nail it, and it won't have a front nailing surface, but I'm not really worried about it because this stuff is pretty stout. So for example, right in here, there won't be anything to nail that soffit to, but when it gets nailed all along the backside of these 2x4s here and here, I'm not real worried about the front dipping down at all. Not to mention, because these are 5/8 thick and the soffit is only 3/8 thick, this will be lower than the soffit anyway. So even if it started to dip, it's not like the soffit can dip underneath this 5/8. So again, I'm not worried about that soffit moving at all, just because it doesn't have a nailing surface up in here. Then as you can see, this is how I decided to trim this out. So the metal roof will obviously stick out over this, but this is all now completely flush in here, and the siding will come on down here, and the siding will probably go over top of the zip, over top of the LP, and it'll probably hang lower down here. So that way when water falls on the siding here, it'll just fall straight down and won't encroach back this way. If you make it just a hair shorter, like 1/8 of an inch below this, that's where the siding will go, and then that will drop on down. And then of course, for anything like this, LP does say they do want expansion gaps. So in fact, I could actually put my saw up in there and make that hole a little wider, and then you go ahead and put caulking in there, so that way this wood can expand and contract. And I'm going to do that to the same down there. So again, it looks like that. But right now we're kind of in a danger zone, if you will. It's not going to hurt anything initially, but you can see as water goes ahead and hits this, it's going to find its way into this crack and go down in here, come back here, and then drain on out. But we need to get that fascia board up on here so that it hangs down again, covering the 2x6, covering the edge of this, and then we'll go ahead and hang it down like 1/8 of an inch or so over here, so that way water can just drop straight on down. So I've got to go buy those still. We'll probably get back cracking at this tomorrow or another day. Like I said, I think it's going to snow for the next 2 or 3 days in the forecast. So at least that gives you an idea of how we'll waterproof and get this soffit done. And if I don't end up working tonight, I know I have to work on Wednesday, but I may go and just get the soffit material, get that lumber off of the trailer, because these things are 16 foot long. It's a little hard to transport that. But I'm going to finish out today right here. I'm going to trim this end back and make another board running that way, so that that's all nice and trimmed out. And then yeah, I think this is going to work out well. So I will see you guys later this week. Don't know when that will be, but we'll see what else we can knock out and what we can do, weather permitting. I ran to the store real quick before they closed because I jumped online, and those 7-inch planks that I was talking about from LP that are only 3/8 of an inch, which we've now picked up, and see here we got online it said they only had 20 left, and it said they were going to be discontinued. So went there and picked up 20 more. Hopefully that's all I need. I went and calculated how much I would need up and down the gable ends and how much I'll need all along the front fascias, which yes, going on the front fascia, the gutters will be hiding these, but again, I'm trying to protect the 2x6s that's up there from getting hit with weather if stuff gets underneath and behind the gutters. So this is just basically like a little protective layer. But turns out I need like 20.1 boards. They did have a few extra, but the problem is when they have extra, they might already be accounted for by somebody else, so you can't take them. So hopefully I'm a little off by saying 20.1 boards. Maybe I was a little conservative, and we'll end up using some extra scrap than what's needed. But so far, those 7-inch boards are going to work out perfect. The other thing I picked up was this stuff. It's kind of like T11, but again, it's made by LP. What I'm doing with these 4x8 sheets is I'm cutting them down this way in 2-foot sections. And then I've already got one installed up there, but that's what we're going to be doing up and underneath of our soffits on this side, which technically I don't know if that's called a soffit, but that's what's going to basically build that out as a box. So now these ladders can't dip down anymore because you got the plywood trying to keep it straight up top, the 2x4s that are trying to keep it straight up top, and now this stuff being over 3/8 of an inch. It looks thicker than what it is. I think this stuff is 7/16. So 7/16 OSB is not going to buckle, and that ladder is never going to be able to bend down because it's boxed out. So that's what it's going to look like. I decided to go with the 8-inch wide planks instead of what I used on the garage, which were 6-inch, because by the time you get up to that peak up there, 6-inch is going to look just it's going to look too busy with too many lines. So by going with the 8-inch, I think it looks beautiful. It's going to give it a heck of a lot of strength, being 7/16, which I keep trying to go over in my head. I thought I purchased 3/8, but they gave me 7/16, so I guess that's a bonus for me. It's a heck of a lot thicker stuff. And then what I did on this end is I took another piece of those strips that were 3.5 inches, but I cut it down because it was sticking out way too far right there. So now that it's cut back a little bit, we'll go ahead and paint this. We'll probably fill this crack in here with some caulking, and then obviously that's a cut edge right there, so it'll need painted anyway. But all of this stuff in here is going to get painted to the color of our house. So we're going to go ahead and caulk all the holes, caulk all the nail holes. And the beauty thing about fake wood like this, or like a wood imprint, is when you put caulking in your nail holes, you can be real rough and aggressive with smoothing out the nail hole. And if that caulking leaves like a rib or something, it's fine, because once it's painted, it blends right in and you can't see any nail holes. So I've already ripped a few of these down. Unfortunately, I can't install them without a lift. They are way too long and flimsy when you get out to super length. But they're flimsy, you know, front and back, not flimsy that you can, you know, bow it and bend 7.5 inches. But I'll wait till we get the lift out here later in the week when we start finishing out the roof sheathing, and then we'll go ahead and at least slap these fascia boards on. But I just wanted to show you that, guys, real quick, and stay tuned. We'll be back with the lift on another day, and we'll go from there. So got the lift back out here today, and actually we had it out here yesterday also. Last night about, I don't know, 6 o'clock, is kind of pitch black out. I got one more panel up on this side of the roof, and today I'm going to 100% finish that. So it looks like we need one more kind of half panel on row 5, then we'll do 1, 2, about 2.5 on row 6, and then those top little 11-inch slivers. And then yesterday we were basically focusing on the back side of the house. We didn't work that long at it, but we got 2 full rows along the entire back side. And while we were at it, in case more snow came, we were putting on a row and then putting on the ice and water shield. I don't think you can see it now just because it's higher up and I don't have the dirt mound to stand on, but it's looking good. So this side of the house at least has 2 rolls of paper on. The garage and the house, we still have a heck of a lot more to do, but those ice and water shields, not the easiest thing to work with because they're so much thicker and heavier. Those rolls are like 50, 60 pounds a piece, as opposed to paper, which is probably the same weight, but they come in like 300-foot rolls, and a heck of a lot easier to put on because it's paper and it moves around. This stuff being so thick, it's hard to move and get it to lay flat, especially when in the cold weather, because it's supposed to be put on with, you know, just the self-adhesive stickiness on the back, and we're having to use nails. So is what it is on that. I don't think I'll be able to do those today by myself, but I'm going to finish out the front of the house. I'm going to look into putting some of the trim boards on the back of the garage where I said it needs to go, to help protect that underneath for the overhang. And then we'll see what else we can get done today. So stay tuned. We'll knock out this front here and we'll go from there. Right, so it is much later in the day, as you can probably tell. No, I did not spend all the time just doing that. Hopefully the time lapse got some of that. But the front of the house is done. It's sheathed. We still have to do the ice guard on the house and the garage, but it's done. That feels good. That can finally keep the majority of water and stuff out. Then obviously we can start on blocking on the house, hurricane straps, and again, the under laminate. But now that we got that done, I was working back here in the back of the house, and back here I went ahead and got, I don't know, only like 5 or 6 more panels up. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 more panels up. And since I got about another hour of sunlight, I'll probably get 3 or 4 more up. But reason why it's late in the day and I haven't gotten a lot of roofing done is because what is in the back of my truck. So my father-in-law is an electrician. He used to do houses, and then he went to more commercial, and he works for a company where he's the lead electrician. He puts in all bids now for major construction projects, like say somebody's putting in a brand new street or an intersection, and all that needs wired up to, you know, those green boxes that sit on the side of the road versus all the electricity that run everything. So much bigger stuff than a puny little house, but he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for 30-40 years. He's got every certification I think in the world, and he put a bid together or an order for me to go to his place, his supply house, and pick everything up. So what I've got here in the back of my truck is not everything. I did not have a few, I needed more room for a few more pieces of conduit, but we've got 3-inch conduit that's gonna run from the pole, and I don't know if you can see the pole out there versus a tree, but it's got some silver on it so you can kind of see it. But we're gonna run it at a 45 next to the driveway, go down the appropriate 18 inches or 24 inches or whatever it is, run that conduit right along the driveway, turn the corner here at the back corner of the camper, 90 over. We'll come along here where the driveway is and the stone and dirt meet, and then that hole that's still over there, we'll bring in that conduit to that 3-inch schedule that I've already got plumbed out of the wall, which is that big guy right there. And I think we've got about 350 feet to do all that. Then, of course, we've got 3-inch wire. Now, I'm not an electrician. I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, but I heard them yell out something like number 3 and number 4 or something. All I can tell you is that stuff is huge. It weighs an absolute ton. This stuff here, I think maybe what they were talking about for the number 3. I'll have to show you the diameter of these things, but this stuff here is ginormous. This stuff here is a little bit smaller because what's on that little roll is going to be what's controlling the garage. And we're gonna have, oh, and we got everything in the truck too that he put this massive order for. And it was only about $3,200. I didn't think it was that bad. The wire and the conduit are the most expensive. The wire is aluminum, so I believe it's a much fatter aluminum than if it was copper. Copper would obviously be a little bit smaller, but I think the copper is way more expensive than the aluminum. So we went with a much bigger wire than what was needed, but because it's aluminum, it needs to because of the current drop. And we got everything else. I mean, I've got boxes and boxes and outlet boxes and these recessed lighting that I think I talked to you guys about already that Aaron and I want to go ahead and do. They'll be on the house and the garage, but we're going to wire up the garage. Everything in there is for the garage. That $3,200 isn't for the entire house, but obviously the conduit will run everything. And the electrical panel we got, it's a 42 breaker for in the house. Then that's going to go through the wall in the garage, and the garage will have its own separate breaker. So we'll have plenty of lights, outlets, 240 and stuff out in the garage. Again, those recessed lightings are going to go 3 in the front, 3 in the back. So for the middle of this one, middle of the windows, and the middle of that one to where it gets in between the house. So you'll have 3 outside here, 3 in the front. Again, boxes on boxes and Romex and clips and twist ties and you name it, he put that order together. And frankly, I don't think $3,200 was that bad. I remember a friend from work saying she was so ticked off that they forced her to go up to a 3-inch conduit for their house because of the long run, and the price went up so much. But when you're buying it yourself, or you're getting it from a company that I don't know if there was a discount because he has an account there, that it's cheaper, but $3,200 to wire up 350 feet of house, I don't think it's that bad. Hopefully you guys can see in here because it's getting dark. But again, the outlet boxes he got. So our garage doors, for example, they're not going to be traditional up and over track doors. We're going to go more up at an angle so there's no track above my head. And then we're also going to have wall mounted garage door openers. So we've got an outlet that's going to be needed up in that corner, an outlet for that corner. We've got outlets going under the windows, all the lighting up in here. Again, we'll have our own electrical box, 100 amp for the garage, 200 amp for the house. And that's where all this conduit is coming through that will go in here. So this video, obviously, I won't be showing you guys any electric as I thought I would, but we'll go ahead and get it for the next video, wiring up the garage. I don't know if it's a good time to trench the ground now because it's frozen. I don't know if we're going to use like a ditch digger that has like a chainsaw blade kind of that's massive to chew up to get down in there, or if we're going to use a mini excavator and just dig the whole way. I think the ditch digger is a heck of a lot faster, but I don't know. We'll see what we're going to do. But I'm so excited that we can at least run the electric to here. Once we get the paper on the roof, the house will then be watered in or weathered in. The windows are going to be here on the 18th of February. The panels we can start getting up, and once we get electric in here and come out through here, we've got electric in the garage, lighting out here. It's going to be so much better to get through with ease, not having to worry about, you know, stupid electric cords like this going in and trying to power everything. We'll have lights and electric and power galore, so I cannot wait. So again, next video, hopefully we'll get started on that. I am going to continue knocking at this roof, trying to get the paper on. If we can't get the snow to melt, I was kind of thinking about blowtorching the snow off along with shoveling it down to try and get the ice to melt, and then we can put the paper on. But again, next week on the 18th, the windows will be here. The doors won't. They're still on the way, but it seems like everything's kind of coming together. So I'm going to wrap this video up here. I'm gonna keep on with the motivation moving forward. If you guys like this video, again, like, subscribe, as always. Leave a comment down below if you've got any questions. You can hit us up on NeckofTheWoods 2020 if you need to personal message us or anything, and we'll just go from there. So again, hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and we'll see you next time.